I want to quickly talk to you about Select Funding, and this is a review of this lender. So, if you're looking for a business funding, Select Funding can really help you big time. Okay, but let me I want to quickly clarify for you what this lender does, what it does not, and how to actually apply successfully. First of all, let's talk about Select Funding. So, Select Funding is actually a direct lender and business to business financial services company that provides financing options to small and medium sized businesses. Okay. So, what happens here is that Select Funding is not a loan marketplace. Select Funding is not actually a middleman. Select Funding is not a loan broker. This is a direct lender. Okay. So, when you go to Select Funding, they actually will put your loan, they actually will they'll give you up to a quarter of a million from their own balance sheet. This is important because you can be funded faster. Sometimes when you go through a middleman or you go through a loan marketplace, you don't get funded faster. Okay. And the company has been around since 2010. So it's been close to 20 years now. This is pretty good. They're based in California. Okay. It's a small company. It's a small, less than 50 employees, but they have actually funded billions of dollars in small business loans. Okay, I'll talk to you about the kinds of business loans they actually provide. But one thing for sure, if you're looking for a direct lender, not a loan marketplace, go to Select Funding. Okay, and also, so when you go to Select Funding, you don't just get funding, you get actually connected to a funding specialist who will advise you before, during, and after the loan approval. Okay, so that's kind of cool. And so Select Funding is actually an alternative lender. It is not an online lender. It is not a traditional lender in the sense that it doesn't actually have its branches open to the public for the public to go and talk to a rep. So anything you want to talk about business funding, anything you want to really discuss with Select Funding, you have to speak to someone from CEO Brian Spratt's team. Okay, Brian Spratt is a pretty it's a visionary when it comes to business funding, and I love the fact that his company is constantly innovating to bring business loans, lines of credit, and working capital loans to small businesses, but also medium-sized businesses. So let's talk about how Select Funding actually works. Okay, the thing is that if you think about Select Funding, you have two primary business loan profiles, two primary business loans models. Okay, they have what they call small business working capital, and they have equipment financing. Now, for small business working capital loans, the limit is $250,000, and for equipment loans, the limit is higher. Why? Because equipment loans are, by definition, collateralized loans. So basically, what happens here is that Select Funding is able to take on more risk, okay? Because they know the loans are collateralized anyway. So this is an important element to really think about, okay? And one thing I want to say here also is that when you actually are thinking about possibilities, think about Select Funding. Now, for small business working capital, you are looking at loan amounts that go all the way to a quarter of a million, okay? So $250,000. And the rates and terms, you have to contact Select Funding because they don't publish that information. Like they don't publish it on their website. They don't publish on their website. You have to contact them for them to really let you know. And the funding speed is usually within 2 days. Within 2 days after approval. Okay, so you can get up to $250,000 2 days after approval, and you can use the funds to manage most working capital needs, such as purchasing inventory, making payroll, paying rent, or even expanding. That's totally possible. Yeah, and so that's for small business working capital loans, up to $250,000, right? So with Select Funding, you can also get equipment financing, but here the limit is higher. It's up to 1 million. I just said that. So up to 1 million. So you can finance vehicles, you can finance software, you can finance hardware, you can finance office supplies, and so on and so forth. The rates and terms here also are undisclosed. You need to contact Select Funding. You need to contact somebody in Brian Spratt's team to actually know exactly what they're actually what they are, what kind of percentage they will give you. But maximum is 1 million. Okay, that's the 1 million. And one thing I want to say also is that the funding speed for equipment financing is actually less than 3 days. So you're looking at 48 to 72 hours after approval. Okay. And by the way, when I say equipment financing, it's funding that allows you to purchase or lease equipment for your business. It's not just purchasing, but also leasing. Okay. So, and it allows you to really buy used or new equipment. Okay. So everything from computers, office furniture, vehicles, tools, and general business equipment is actually pretty good. So if you think about select funding this year, what kind of qualifications should you have if you want to really get funded real fast? So what I love about select funding is that their criteria are pretty reasonable. They're pretty decent. They're not going to really ask you for the whole world. No, they're asking you to have a FICO score of 500 minimum. They're asking you to have to let's say at least 10K in revenue. So have at least 10K in revenue. That's about 120 years or 120K a year. And also, you got to be in business for at least 6 months, 3 to 6 months. Okay, so which is pretty good. I mean, they're not funding a startup, a brand new startup. Okay, so you got to be in business a little bit for select funding to actually work with you. And also in terms of documentation, select funding wants you to have 3 months, at least 3 months of business bank statements to actually qualify because they will go through your bank statements to actually see your cash flows, your cash inflows and cash outflows. Sometimes they might ask you to connect your business bank account through an API program for them to really see what's really happening. Okay, they can do a live or they can do a static. So static will be a paper, like paperwork, like paper bank statements. Live will be just through an API. Okay, and one thing I want to say here is that we have to understand that no information actually flows to the public about select fundings, APR or repayment terms. Okay, they just tell you a little bit about their credit score requirements, the time in business, their monthly revenue. Okay, so it's important, and so select funding, and this is an important element to mention here. Select funding likes to position itself as a direct lender, but sometimes they work with other partners, okay, for their equipment financing product. So they work with up to 25 lending partners to provide equipment financing, okay, and so they focus primarily on industries such as auto repair, beauty and wellness, construction, elections. Okay, you have plumbing, you have HVAC, you have restaurants and bars, trucking, etc. So, how do you apply to select funding? How do you really get your funds from them within 24 to 48 hours? One thing you need to really understand is that you have to go to their website. Okay, I mean, everybody tells you got to go to their website, but honestly, I think it's just a lot better to even contact them first. But you still have to go to the website. But it's maybe call Tony Sprott's team, have a 5 minute conversation with them, what I call a preliminary conversation, right? Just to make sure that you are on the same page. Even before you start filling out things like first name, company address, zip, all those type of info. Okay, so you just go online and fill the info there. One thing I want to say also is that when you get to Select Funding's website, they'll ask you the basic info that you actually have been filling out like multiple times before, first name, last name, but also your revenue. It's okay, and sometimes you might have to attach your your financial statements. I apologize. You might have to actually attach your financial statements. Okay, so this is something to really think about. Okay, so this is something to really understand that if you want same day approval, you better have the paperwork ready. So you might have to upload your balance sheet, your income statement, your statement of cash flows. Okay, and also you gotta really give your routing number, your business accounts routing number, and also ABA number. Okay, it's a really sorry, routing number and account number, so that they can actually wire the funds to you same day or the next day. So that's really good. They use the ACH network or also the wire transfer. So Really depends on what works for you. So when you think about select funding, what are the advantages and disadvantages? Well, one thing I want to say here is that speed and quality of service are are pretty quintessential. Okay, and speed and quality of service. I mean, speed you get funded within 24 to 48 hours. Quality of service, you have you have someone who's actually will work with you all along the way. Okay, but also let's not forget the fact that with select funding, you can be funded. Okay, even if you have a FICO score of 500, 500. Okay, that's really good. You have the possibility to go through an application process that's quick and easy. Takes about three minutes, and they ask very basic questions. Okay, they're not really complicating the whole process. They ask very basic questions, and you can potentially receive approval the same day and receive your funds within 24 hours. This is really good. Okay, so you also have the possibility to actually say, okay, I want more. By the way, you can apply. You can apply for more, and Select Funding can actually apply. Can actually approve you for a lower amount. Okay, so you can apply for 250,000, and they can approve you for 100,000, for instance. Okay, so this is something to really keep in mind. And in terms of disadvantages, when it comes to Select Funding, you have no idea. There is no transparency in terms of business loan structures, costs, and repayment processes. That's really that's a bummer, because that means you got to pick up the phone and actually find out after you apply. Because even if you call them, even if you ask them, they're not giving you that info over the phone. They want you to go through the process first, okay, and then you'll get to know how much you can qualify for. That's a big bummer, especially for business owners who do not want to jeopardize their credit score. In addition, funding only goes to $250,000, whereas other competitors in this industry are giving you all the way to $1 million. Okay, so this is something that maybe Select Funding has to work on. So if you think about working capital loans, for instance, the maximum you can actually get is $250,000. And also, most alternative lending options carry higher rates and fees. So while Select Funding doesn't publish information on cost, many online customer reviews state they received very high rates, and some customers stated that they didn't proceed with funding because the costs were too high. So this is something to really think about, especially from a flexibility point of view. So what are the pros and cons here? If you think about Select Funding, what are the pros and cons you need to really think about? One thing I want to say when I analyze lenders, alternative lenders such as Select Funding, is that their low qualification thresholds is actually pretty good. I mean, in this economy, no matter where you are at, whether you are on the East Coast or West Coast, having a low qualification threshold from a lender is really good, because it opens up the economy. It opens up the competitive landscape to lots and lots and lots of small businesses and medium-sized businesses. Okay, so that's kind of cool. Think about it: 500 as FICO score. That's really good. That just means that they're not penalizing you because you made a bad decision personally in terms of your finances. Okay, they just want to reward your business credibility, and also you have a quick a quick approval process, an easy application process. The whole thing is actually pretty easy, pretty user friendly. Okay, and also you have fast funding time. You can be funded within 24 to 48 hours, which means if you apply by 9 a.m. Eastern or Pacific or Mountain, you can be funded by 5 p.m. Eastern, Pacific, or Mountain. Okay, so that's kind of cool. What are the cons here? If you think about Select Funding, well, I think I said this before, but I want to repeat it. The transparency is not there. Okay, no transparency on loan structures or costs. And also, if you are talking to an alternative lender, chances are you're going to pay more than if you were to go to a bank or a credit union or an online lender. Okay, so basically, something to really think about. And also, and this is an important element, customer reviews complain about the cost. So something to really keep in mind this year. And working capital loans only go to $250,000. So if you're getting anything, if you want anything above $250,000, you're not gonna get it. Not only are you not gonna get it, you may actually get a smaller amount. So do I recommend select funding? Is the company legit? Yes, the company is definitely legit. Okay, like I said, they cover a lot of niches: construction, electricians, HVAC, and plumbing, bars and restaurant, and they've been around since 2010. Okay, so this is a legit online lender. It's accredited by Triple B, the Better Business Bureau, and has been operating in all 50 states since inception. So this is kind of important. It just means they have licenses in areas where you basically may need licensing to actually start doing start doing stuff. Okay, and one thing I want to say also is that select funding is constantly changing its business model. So maybe by the time you apply for a business loan, they might have changed things around. Okay, but one thing for sure, if you do not get approved by select funding, for instance, you always have option. You have alternatives. You have other players in this industry that can really help you out. Okay, this is kind of cool from a flexibility point of view, and so that's really good. You have business term loans. You have business lines of credit. You have also SBA loans. So SBA loans are really good in terms of let's say amount approved, because set funding is giving you maybe $250,000, and SBA loan can give you all the way to 5 million or even $10 million. Okay, so that's really a big departure to really think about. And you also have, and this is something I really need to talk about. You have also merchant cash advances, invoice factoring. You have so those are actually invoice factoring, invoice financing. Those are revenue-based financing arrangements that you can seek to. Okay, you can seek to. If again, if for select funding is not really giving you the kind of program you need, you want to look elsewhere. You can think about the bad credit business loans, okay, or like advances that your business has to repay anyway. But the bottom line here is it allows you to know exactly what works, to know what doesn't work, and to know how to tweak whatever is not working to make sure it does work. As a coda into this conversation, I spoke to you about select funding. I gave you an overview about the company, how they work, what are the qualifications for approval, what are the pros and cons, the advantages and the disadvantages. Thank you so much. God bless you. I will see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.